Alright, so one of the turbo pipings, including that nasty test pipe that didn't even go in with this gasket right here, and some didn't even have gaskets, so I guess they decided to use a cylinder, which will be pretty bitch to clean up because it made a bunch of gunk. It'll be just a lot of extra work I have to do. And on the side I'm just draining the transmission fluid so I don't have to make a lot of mess. I mean, it'll still leak a lot because transmission could only hold like 5 quarts, and the torque converter actually holds another 5. So hopefully when I separate it, it's together so that it doesn't make as much mess as possible. But to me, this fluid was like very fresh. It was replaced very recently. It smells like royal purple, which I've done that before for some customers. If you actually buy these OEM transmission fluid, they'll be like $300 something for a quart, 10 quarts. But with the royal purple, which is top of the line, you can do it under like $80, $90, I believe. Since I was just down there, I noticed one more thing. There was 2 lines went to the wastegate, hooked up. Let me see, where's the wastegate? So there were 2 ports that was hooked up, and I kind of traced the line because I noticed that there was nothing hooked up to the turbo. But if you actually go out and step on it, get in the boost, this is overboosting, your engine's gonna be instantly kaboom. So whoever did this, you know, once again, shame on you. Alrighty, didn't make much of a mess. A bunch of bolts and stuff like that down here. So took off the automatic transmission completely. It's one heavy ass bitch. Anyhow, the torque converter, I was able to just kind of take it off without making a lot of mess. So I was happy with that. This is ones that's connected to automatic. So this is actually another thing that's really important for doing the swap, because it has something called neutral safety switch. So it wants to see the car's either parked or in neutral to start the car. And if you do it wrong, the car won't even shut off because it thinks that it's in park. It's not in park or neutral, like I said. So yeah, I've been there before. Didn't get to film it, but the owner went with competition stage 3, and it's been installed. Just torqued everything down evenly and ready to put the transmission on the car. I was gonna actually go home, but I guess I'll just stay around because I won't be coming in for Labor Day. Be out of state, have some family time finally. I'm so tired. It's like 8:30 now, so I'm gonna probably just clean up and go home. But manual transmission is already in, along with the competition stage 3. So what's left to do pretty much underneath is just kind of mark the layout, cut a little bit, and I'm just gonna finish cutting from inside. Also have to do the shifter linkage along with the shifter, and basically just put everything back together. All right, so it's Tuesday after the Labor Day. Came into the shop. What I was actually doing is something that takes the most time when you do the auto to manual swap. So basically you have to cut the center section, and usually, like I said, if this was my car, I would just cut the center section and just call it a day with the plasma cutter. But what's tricky is the shifter linkage that's coming from the transmission. It has to be kind of elevated in order to put this shifter in place. And yet you could just have this thing held by a little bushing that's here. But instead of doing that, I decided to make a plate like factory manual transmission looks like, so it can be serviced whenever you want to. You could just take it off. I just finished mocking up and basically tack weld everything here. So now I could get in gear and everything, but all's left to do is pretty much kind of brace everything, fill it up, and obviously you have to fill up big holes right there. And that hole right there is for the shifter linkage for automatic, so I'm gonna fill that up too, so there's absolutely no noise coming from the bottom. And I'm still gonna also like seal it up and paint so that it doesn't get rusted or whatnot. And also gonna go in the bottom, just kind of clean up. It won't be perfect like factory, but still, you know, it's gonna be done right. That's what I'm trying to go for. Okay, so still in the middle of just patching up everything. Just added this part right there before it's all cleaned up. Obviously, once it's all cleaned up, it's gonna be nicer. But I think as is already, it's pretty nice and decent. All right, I got a lot cleaning up to do. Sweating like a pig all day. Anyhow, see, I added more plate down here, so it's covering the cut down there, and I actually also patched it up from the bottom. So it's not really perfectly like sealed yet, but good enough to take it out and whatever. So first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, sixth gear, reverse. Like I said, I'm just throwing this in for the customer. Like the deal wasn't like make it somewhat perfect like this, but you know, I'm just gonna throw this in so that you know it's worth it. And I think this is the far best the manual transmission job I did, because obviously some people are just cheaping out on the labor, and like I said, this took me about a couple of hours, so obviously it has to be added, but giving us a lot of job to do, so I'm just gonna throw this in. So I think it came out pretty clean and nice. Once I clean this up and kind of paint it, it'll look like factory. And obviously it's not going to be even shown. This part won't be even shown. So again, literally you could just lift up the bushing, kind of spot weld it, like duct tape it around or whatever you want to do to cover this up. You will never be able to see it. But like I said, little things I could do, and I think it looks really great. So this is what I did, and this is what factory looks like, just for your reference if you haven't seen one before. So you see how the factory one is elevated like that. The automatic one is nice and flat, because you don't need to have that thing elevated. So that's one of the mistakes some of the guys doing the manual transmission swap. They make it flat, and obviously the shifter will kind of sit lower, and it will be closer to your second, fourth, and sixth gear. Sometimes you won't be able to get in the reverse for that reason. So yeah, I've been working all day. I just got to catch up some stuff inside real quick, and I'll be just taking off. So on the way, I'm gonna go buy some paint and stuff like that from Home Depot, so that I could just kind of paint it around so that it doesn't get rusted or whatnot. So this is what it looks like from underneath. Nice and clean cut. Some areas when I was plasma cutting, it made some marks, but once it's painted and everything, it'll be nicely cleaned up and sealed. So yeah, I'm gonna also get some seam sealer like this, so that it will just kind of prevent it from moisture and stuff like that getting rusted, and also soundproof it too. So I think I got done whatever I had to get done today, and time to go home.